This episode is presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head Tourism Bureau. Discover the art of adventure at Utah's gateway to the parks. Cedar City is within a few hours' drive from 6 different national parks and monuments, and only 30 minutes from fresh snow at Bryan Head Resort. Check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip. This episode is sponsored by the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center. Dedicated to supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs, it provides resources and services aimed at fostering business creation, growth, and retention. To learn more and get involved, visit innovationcenter.cc. Hello and welcome to the Explore Local podcast presented by Visit Cedar City Bryan Head in partnership with Cedar City Iron County Economic Development, produced by Dallas Smith Media, and I'm your host, David Johnson. Today we have a special guest that I'm excited to have on the podcast. It's Joe Brough, who's with Hive Plastics. He's the owner of Hive Plastics, which is a new company that has just come into Iron County, and they're about to get rolling. So Joe, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be with you, David, and we're glad to be here in Iron County.
Awesome. Well, so Joe, you and I started talking, I don't know, probably a year, maybe more ago.
More than a year ago.
Yeah, a year and a half or something ago. And you were looking to bring Hive Plastics potentially to Iron County. Now, I guess before we dive into what made you decide to come here, let's give us a high level of what is Hive Plastics and what do you guys do?
Well, we're a rotational molder, which is kind of a unique plastic process where you build large hollow products generally. Most people know about blow molding, injection molding, and those type of plastic processes, but ours is unique in the fact that it's slower. It builds a stronger product. It is more labor intensive than the other processes. The size of the machinery is substantially larger physically. And I started in business in 1992 doing this with another partner, and we sold our business in 2021, and I thought I was retiring to Hurricane and enjoyed where we're at, and it was very much a bit of a transition time. But that's it's a unique business. It's a fun business. It is labor intensive. It takes a work ethic. So that's kind of where we were at in 2021. And then just some customers and some other reasons have come up where I thought, I feel too young to be retired. Not sure what I'm going to do when I grow up, but we just looked at it and said, let's go back to business. So that's where we're at.
That's awesome. So now, to talk more about rotational molding, you kind of dove into it a little bit, but what does that process look like? So describe it. You mentioned other forms of plastics manufacturing. Give us the comparison for the lay person who has no clue. What is rotational molding versus some of those other things and what happens in that process? You just talked about it's more slow in the process and more sturdy.
Let's give just some examples of some of the other things that people might be familiar with.
Yeah.
Blow molding tends to, it's just what it talks about, uses air and liquid plastic and blows it into some type of form. It's fast. It's structurally not nearly as strong as our process. And things that be known for that are bottles, your milk jugs. Some of the products, like some of the smaller kayaks are blow molded.
I was going to ask about kayaks,
And so there's a lot of different products that you can blow mold, and some of those overlap with rotational molding. They can do them both ways. So there's some advantages. Blow molding, your molds are very expensive. Rotational molding in comparison molds are relatively cheap.
Is that because the blow molding is just like custom molds that you just stick the plastic in?
They're all custom molds. So with blow molding, you typically are literally blowing in a stream or a circle of plastic, and the molds will grab it, and it cuts off the plastic, and it cools real quick, open up, part comes out, grab it, and you're talking anywhere between like 2.5 to maybe 6 or 7 minute cycle times.
Oh, really? Wow.
Really, really fast. As you blow plastic into something, say if you're blowing it into a corner, realize it's stretching all the way to the corner. So corners And I'm exaggerating,
Yeah.
but they're weaker.
Yeah.
Okay. Injection molding, which is the most common thing, will be usually smaller solid plastic stuff that have a metal tool that you push a liquid into it, and then it holds it and it opens it up, pops it out. There's lots of things that are made that way. Most of your smaller plastic things are made that way.
Okay.
Strong, fast, and things like your covers over your water sprinkler things outside. Those are injection molded.
Gotcha.
Okay. They tend to not be hollow on the inside because you can't make a hollow product on an injection molded process.
Okay.
So those are some of the processes there. Rotational molding is you build a mold and you pour a powder inside of it. It rotates
Dry?
dry.
Just dry powder.
And it rotates on 2 axes. So it's spinning both this way and this way at the same time.
Huh.
And you never take the plastic to liquid form.
Really?
It just gets to a temperature that you know and you've controlled to. It gets to what's called a tacky state. So it starts just sticking to the outside of the molds to where the heat is hottest at first.
Is that because it's just through centrifugal force? It's just like flinging to the.
Well, it's not flinging. It's really just slowly rolling around the mold.
Oh, so
and sticking to the sides.
It's a slow spin. It's not fast.
No, it's slow.
Oh, okay.
And our process, an oven cook time will be between, fastest ones are probably 16, 17 minutes. The longer ones could be 40, 45.
Okay. So at minimum about still 3 times the amount of time that the blow molding
At
takes.
least 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it builds up on the outside walls where the heat is the most. So you think about it. If you've got a 90-degree angle, the heat here is not the same as the 2 metal parts coming together at the bottom.
Gotcha.
So it's just the opposite. Corners are built stronger. Okay. And then you can get thicknesses that you usually can't in blow molding. You can do parts a 1/2 inch thick because it just keeps putting the plastic on the outsides as you get, as it gets hotter and hotter or holds the temperature at the point that it sticks longer and longer. So when we say a 40-minute cycle time on something, that's usually something that's pretty thick.
Wow.
Because it's going to keep laying it up as it rotates on the 2 axes. What are some of the common things? Most of the big refuge containers for garbage are rotationally molded.
Oh, okay.
So you look at a big plastic dumpster at a park or something like that, those will be rotomolded.
The dumpster itself, or just the lids, or both?
Well, both, but you'll see dumpsters that are plastic ones. You'll see metal ones as well.
Okay.
The plastic ones are not almost, they're always rotomolded. A lot of your home 100-liter or 100-gallon garbage cans that are outside that the trucks pick up automated, they're all rotomolded.
Oh, okay.
So big kayaks, heavy-duty kayaks, we used to build those in my previous life in Brigham City. They're rotomolded. If people need specialty barrels that need real strength to them, they're rotomolded. So, for example, storage tanks for water in your home. There are blow molded products out there, but who wants something that's got weakness in the corners?
Yeah.
You want something strong. So, our product is more expensive than the competitive the competitive blow molded home storage products. But we do 30-gallon tanks, 55-gallon tanks, 300-gallon tanks that are for home water storage.
Okay. So when you were talking about the molds, spinning around, are the molds themselves acting as a heating element, or are they in some sort of chamber that's being heated?
Very large chamber. Our first chamber is 16 feet by 16 feet.
Really?
And so an arm pivots into the chamber that's holding the molds on. The molds are just they can be made out of aluminum, stainless steel, metals, but they're metals. And the oven is literally an oven. We could bake the biggest marshmallow roast you ever thought of, there. So you figure an oven that is 16 feet by 16 feet. And you're pivoting an arm in there, and then it starts spinning on those 2 axes inside that oven.
Yeah.
There's 2 cooling chambers when it comes out. A pre-cool station where you're blowing a lot of air across the mold. And then it goes into a station where it's, in the summertime, we mist it. So it's, it's literally, mist water that's blown in there. It's amazing. The floor will stay dry. You'll never even see it hit the cement because it hits the molds and it's just cools right then. In the wintertime, it's not needed So we'll have 2 just air-cooled stations during the wintertime.
Now, you talked about when you put them in the molds, it's in a powdered form. So I was picturing like the little plastic beads. So is it's truly like almost like flour type of a powder? Okay.
Yeah. I'd say it's in between in terms of granular size, sugar, and flour.
Okay.
But it's a powder.
Is it is there a specific name for that type of powder or?
Well, there are lots of different types of powders that you can run in rotational molding. Some people run nylons, some people run, different, like I say, different. We are, the olefins are the most common, and we are almost 100% polyethylenes.
Oh, okay.
So it just depends the densities. We'll go all the way from what they call a 3 melt to, 9 or 10 melts. And those have just different characteristics, but polyethylenes are a very strong plastic. They have memory, which means you punch them and bend them, and they go back to their shape.
Gotcha.
And they have a lot of tensile strength, so they don't get punctured. Your great big water tanks outside storage, your 1,500 to 5 or 10,000 gallon tanks are usually rotomolded.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're gonna have to forgive my childish mind is going to, if I had a factory like that in your previous life, I would be scheming all the things that I could create a mold for and make for myself or my kids or something just crazy fun that I'm not also selling on the market. Did you ever do anything fun like that where you're like, oh, I'm gonna mold something just to have at the house? I'm sure it'd be expensive.
Well, they are expensive, but you have your things that hobbies or things you like. So there was one product that we looked at. I'm avid outdoors. I love to hunt. And down here in Cedar City, you deal with drought and there's a lot of people who like the outdoors. Okay. So if you look at the water collection systems, guzzlers that they put in the mountains and so forth to try and capture rain for wildlife. We did develop a product. It's like a great big inverted umbrella to capture rain. We had one that per 1 inch of rain, I think, was capturing 52 gallons worth of water.
Wow.
That would put it into a storage tank, and then we had an opening on one side so wildlife could come and drink out of it. Expensive hobby project. We never made any money on it. But we built that mold and we sold several to the state of Utah.
You know what? I've been out hiking before and seen those exact things and wondering what they were in dirt biking and four-wheeling. I've seen some of those out in the middle of nowhere, and I thought, what is this? And somebody told me, oh, that's for wildlife. It collects water for them. So I had no idea.
So that was one of our hobby projects that we just did and say, oh, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't do it very often. We did have one person that created like literally a hand chair. You might have seen him.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a hand.
Yeah.
Those were rolled and molded. I'm sure he never made any money on those. We ran a few for him. Those are some of the fun things. But our guzzlers, I mean, we sold to the state of Utah. They were buying, I'd say, between 30 and 50 every year to put out. And
really?
They would helicopter them into areas where they could drop them, and it was a good way to collect water for wildlife.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think. I remember it was kind of the one particular area that I'm remembering was kind of like a desertish area. We drove for a long time to go on this random hike and with some friends, and I just remember seeing those out there thinking, I've never seen anything like this before. That is so funny that I've seen that product out there.
And they're usually, the colors we did were to blend in with nature.
Yeah.
So we did what we call granites. So they're speckled like rocks. And we did gray and sandstone ones. So if they put a sandstone one out in our desert here, unless you knew what you were looking at, a helicopter wouldn't see them.
Yeah.
I mean, they really blend in well.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, tell me what's one of the funnest projects you've worked on? I mean, you're talking about like dumpsters and things like that. Nothing too, I don't usually use this word, but in worldly vernacular, nothing too sexy going on here with rotational molding. But what's some of the cool projects you've worked on. You talked about that hand chair. I don't know.
You talk about that, and that's one of the fun things that we always like to joke about. You ask my son, what does he do? He's like, I build garbage cans for a living. People are like, well, that sounds like no fun.
Well, you need garbage cans, right?
But it is, I won't say it's a romantic industry at all.
Yeah.
We did some big projects before for like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, where what you would do is build literally hundreds of molds, well, not hundreds, but probably 50 to 60 molds that they're going to run a maximum of 10 or 15 parts out of each one. And it's to build different types of planes.
Oh, wow.
And so what they would do is these are really just forms. They have to fit together with tolerances, and then they would spin parts around them to build, for example, a fuselage. That's a special fuselage. And then they'd literally pop our big plastic membranes and suck them out of what they had just built.
Really?
And so, And so those were some of the interesting ones where really it wasn't, to me, it was a way for them to create their own molds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's almost like you're molding a mold for them, is what it sounds like.
So instead of our molds is always the outside, what we were building for them was the inside.
Interesting.
And we did that for a tank manufacturer that was building the natural gas tanks for vehicles. So we built something also that then they filament bound around the outside, and then they'd suck our part out of it. So literally,
that's crazy.
Literally a very interesting, different process. I'll be honest, I hope we don't get into doing a lot of that here. It takes a ton of engineering. And the precision is really, really technical and difficult. But no, those were some fun, very unusual projects. We were one of the very first to spin camouflage in kayaks.
Really?
And so that was kind of an interesting process of learning how to do that.
To get it to make the patterns of camouflage?
Yeah, you think about it, you're just putting powder in there.
Yeah.
You're not painting it.
Yeah.
And so, some of them paint nowadays, and they've got paints that'll adhere to plastics well enough. But when we started, no. So we did some interesting things. You'd put, instead of spinning on you think if you're spinning on 2 axes, you're mixing up all the colors on the inside.
Right. That's why. How do you even make the pattern?
Yeah. So what we would do is we'd preheat the molds. So we'd stick them in the oven without rotating, heat it up. Okay, and then start spinning on just one axis for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. And so on just one axis, you could get the different, if you put the materials in each line, you could get it spinning, and you'd get a tan line, a dark green line, a black line. But they're spinning, so they're kind of mixing together on the edges of the color. So there's no 2 kayaks that ever were identical.
Oh, that's cool.
And then as soon as you feel like you had the skin, you turn on the other axis for the strength. So if you looked on the inside of it, it's just a conglomerate of different colors.
Yeah.
But on the outside, it was a camo.
Really? That is so cool. For like fishing, hunting kayaks and things?
Yeah, a lot of fishing kayaks.
Interesting. Well, I don't know. I've never duck hunted. Do duck hunters shoot off of kayaks? Probably not. They probably still shoot off the side.
You maybe have seen, we did for a customer build the things that the duck hunters would lay in on the sides.
Oh,
or down
that's
in the ground,
true.
and
Yeah.
then they sit up. We built some of those.
Oh, really?
But that
Okay.
wasn't our product. That was theirs.
Oh, gotcha. That is cool. Well, okay. So take me back even further in history. You kind of, I think, made a brief mention of it at the beginning when you're kind of doing the intro. What got you into rotational molding first, and then what made you go and take the leap to open up your own business originally?
Well, it's 1992, and at the time I was looking, my education was an undergraduate in finance and an MBA, and I have entrepreneurial blood in me, so I was looking to say I'm going to start my own business. At the time, I had worked for other employers and just started looking at different things. And one of the counsel I received is go to the banks and ask them about interesting projects that they wouldn't fund.
Really?
And so I went and met with a couple individuals and said, hey, if there's some really good ideas that come along that you're not willing to fund, send them my way. And so I had a lot of crazy projects that I won't mention, but along came an individual that had some reasons why banks wouldn't finance him. But his idea and concept was, look, rotational molding, you're shipping air, which is true. He says, so most of the businesses are regional. You can't really be national. You can't afford the freight cost of it. So he had a business plan, had it all laid out, and yet no bank was going to finance him for some, historical reasons that happened. So I looked at the plan and thought, wow, this is really true. The closest rotomolders at that point in time were really California. There was one up in Nampa, Idaho. But what we say custom rotomolders, building product for other people, we had from Brigham City, we had a 500-mile radius where there really was no competition.
Yeah.
So all the rotomolded product that was coming into Utah was being burdened with freight.
Wow.
And so we just kind of looked at that niche and said, okay, here we go. And so that was the decision. 3 very painful years at the beginning. I can remember pulling out of my personal savings everything I had to meet a couple payrolls.
I was just going to ask, how did you get your startup funding?
Well, I borrowed some personally, but the rest of it was we just put money in.
Wow.
And it wasn't a lot, but it was scary.
Yeah.
And so I eventually in 2007, I bought my partner out. At that point in time, my younger brother invested with me.
Gotcha.
And so he was my partner as we kind of grew from there.
And your original partner was the gentleman with the original concept?
Correct.
There? Okay.
That's correct.
So you were able to figure out a way, without giving any of your proprietary secrets, I guess, you were able to figure out a way to mass produce and ship beyond just locally without paying, like you said, for air to ship air. Tell me a little bit more about that.
You can. I mean, you still got to find your main alleyways. And there's some, for example, because of strategically where we're at and costs, I can compete with the Southern California rotomolders because with my costs here, I can afford the freight and go into Southern California and be competitive.
Yeah.
We really before, and then you get to where you have certain customers that really from a geographic standpoint, they got to pick, 2 or 3 rotomolders and say, we can be here, we can be there to try and spread out freight all over. So we networked with other people. We could say, use that rotomolder that's in X place and
nice.
that rotomolder that's in Y place. Now we'll take your business in. As long as you have enough molds, we'll send them there. We'll send them there.
Wow.
And then you get others that have a proprietary product or a need. They want just-in-time service that you meet those type of needs and freight's immaterial to them, especially like in the pharmaceutical industries. They look at it and say, we're producing a $300 barrel that they're putting $90,000 worth of product inside. Yeah. The barrel is an immaterial cost.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the barrel on time, or if it has a quality problem with it, that's devastating to their process.
Yeah.
So you just have to become good at different things to be able to reach out beyond your area. And we always felt that we were pretty good at that. And historically, I think I would say that we were.
Do you engineer, design, build the molds for the clients, or do they come with pre-made molds, or how does that
both
work? Yeah.
Both, but we have our own product lines too. I mean, obviously the home storage water tanks, you'll see it here in the near future, and you can even find it now. It's called emergency water tanks, EWT. We are going to be out selling those, and so we take that product from the ground all the way up.
Okay.
And if you look on the internet, like I say, you can find them right now. We're trying to go slow because we're still perfecting some things with it. But so we do have in-house engineering.
Gotcha.
And we design everything up to the point of sending them out to mold makers. There are mold makers, you make them different type. You do fabricated, you do cast aluminum, depends on what you want in the final product and the costing side of it. And so, we handle all of that for a customer. If they come in and say, this is the product we want, and we'll coach them, because sometimes they walk in and we have to say, well, that's really a blow molded product.
Oh, okay.
That's not a roto one. And in the past, we had some blow molders that we'd even refer them to and say, here's where you go. But we'd sit down with them and make sure that they look at it and say, this is some rough costing. Is it something you really want to do? Because, I mean, still, even though our molds are substantially less, you could still be looking $35,000 for a mold.
Really?
And in blow molding, that same mold probably be $150,000 to $200,000.
Wow.
But it's an investment. So we try to coach them through and really talk to them about their products that they have ideas on. We don't want to see anybody fail. So there have been a few times when we said, we really don't want to do that for you. We don't think that's going to work.
Yeah.
And we know that, at least a couple of occasions they've gone to other rotor molders and had it produced anyway. And I would say our run rate was pretty good on those. I only know of one of them that ever succeeded. I know of several of them that still failed. So we feel like we owe it to them to be a good business partner too and say, here's what we think the challenges with that product will be.
Oh, that's awesome. So those molds, are they, maybe you said this, what kind of material is the mold itself made out of?
It's usually made out of one of three different types of material. Aluminum is common, both cast and fabricated and machined aluminum.
Okay.
Stainless steel is another one. A lot of the really, really big products, the molds, you can't afford to store them indoors, so they're outdoors, so you want stainless, so you're not getting rust and so forth. So fabricated stainless steel is another really common one. Your soft metals are also, very common to be used.
Do you store all the molds for your clients, or do they take them?
No, we might end up storing most of them.
And so it sounds to me too, like with your business model is you have a base of products that you form and sell, as well as taking on clients. Then it's not just all 100% client based.
No, correct. In our previous life, I'll say the company that we owned for 29 years, we were probably 80% custom.
Okay.
And we'll still be strongly custom.
Gotcha.
But there are product lines that in the long run you have vision and say, I want to be here, I want to be there. And you wait because some of those are expensive processes and a lot of testing and engineering. You want to do them right. So we'll see here, but we were very good at custom. And we plan on doing that again. But yes, we will have our own product lines as well.
Do those own products help maintain a level of stability in fluctuations with clients, or Well,
honestly, the market's really competitive out there for custom rotor molding. So a lot of proprietary is where you actually are working on trying to cover more costs.
Oh, gotcha.
Because you're taking out usually a third step or a third margin in it. But you got to be careful too, because you don't ever want to hurt one of your customers. So you don't want to build a product that's going to take away from their sales.
Right.
So
price them out.
Yeah. So it's a fine line. And so you choose some specific areas. You say, I'm going to do this for ourselves. And home water storage is one that, for the homes, if someone was to come and say, hey, I want to build a water tank for home storage and sell it, we would know that we're competing already and we can price them out. So it's not really fair for us to take that on.
Gotcha.
But if they came and said, I'm doing this other type of tank or that tank that's for different industries, we understand that and we're good at custom. And that's what we did a ton of before.
That's awesome.
So.
Okay, well, now let's dive in to Hive Plastics. Thanks for indulging me on the processes, on your past and how you got into it. Tell us about, let's start high level. Tell us about the building, the location, the capital investment. Talk a little bit about that and I'll pick your brain from there.
Okay. Well, I think it was May of last year. I had been thinking about it, and that's kind of when I think we probably met about then. Yeah. I felt like, no, I want to do this again. And just in thought process of our old customer base, going through the geography again, saying, where are the other rotor molders that are custom, mainly?
Right, yeah.
Where strategically would be a good place for us to physically be. And we had determined that the I-15 corridor, and when I say we, it was really just myself. But in studying, I thought I-15 corridor, somewhere between Payson and Las Vegas. Okay, that was kind of where I'm looking at saying geography-wise, we had a lot of customer base in Southern California, a lot in Northern Utah from our old businesses. So some of those clients who encouraged me to get back in business, I'm saying, okay, freight-wise for them, this is kind of where we want to be. Yeah. So we started looking, and I looked to just try and buy a building, to be honest.
Yeah.
Thought it would be faster be easier, and found 2 buildings, both of them very old. I mean, we're talking 1980s that they were built, early 1990s, and they really didn't meet what we needed. And so I looked at it and said, oh my word, I'm going to dump a fortune in them to make them what we need them to be.
And that's in the whole region that you were looking in between.
From Payson and Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's crazy.
I found 2.
Yeah. I actually often get business requests for existing buildings in a rural area, and I often say that's really hard to find.
It is hard to find. They really don't exist.
I tell some of these developers, there's some hesitation of building kind of spec buildings and things, but I tell a lot of developers, I get this request all the time. There's value in building some of these spec buildings for exactly what you're talking about, because otherwise companies are just looking at some old buildings from the 80s that are going to cost as much to renovate as they would to just build your own. And that's kind of where you were sitting.
Yeah, that's where I was at. And I understand that the concern of the developer. I do think there's a need for it.
Yeah.
We're such unique from an infrastructure standpoint. It would have been hard for them to do that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
Yeah.
Even if you could come in and say retro something that was newer, that was you could see the vision to is a reasonable request.
Yeah.
And so no, we looked. And then the second part is you're looking at saying, okay, where's there a good workforce? Where's there some potential benefits to being in a location? Really, those were the things we were started at looking at. And when I think I met you at first, I had kind of got down to where I was really thinking between Mesquite and Cedar City.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
And there's pluses and minuses to both, but I'll just talk about it culturally. Cedar City is much more like who I am than Mesquite is. I liked the environment. I liked the fact that it's a hardworking rural community. It's got a university here, which is a nice added. A lot of our workforce will be younger. And so the universities really play into that to be able to pull people. So we got down to those 2 points, and about July or August, in that time frame, I really had to be making a decision if I wanted to build. Our goal was to be operational September 1 of 2025. And I had talked to one particular customer that I had we talked to several, but one I had committed to be in production by that date. So the timeline of building a brand new building, getting everything going in 12 months is a pretty tall task.
Yeah.
So we finally got down to where I worked with the Inland Port, which is where you came in and looked at trying to receive some incentives there. And I won't say the incentives made the final decision, because in the big scope of things, they're immaterial. I mean, they're just a nice benefit. But comparing what we could get from Mesquite to Cedar City were reasonably similar. Okay. So you look at it and say, okay, that's nice. But we felt more welcomed here in the end. And just the environment, the culture of who and what Cedar City is.
Yeah.
So we determined, okay, here we go. We're gonna go to Cedar City. I had been looking at several parcels. We wanted to stay in the Inland Port, like I said. One of the big advantages to us long run will be the transloading facilities. There's 2 of them that have come in. I've stayed in touch with both of them, and we will bring in what you talked about earlier, the pellets, and we will actually pulverize it and make the powder ourselves.
Oh, so I was going to ask that. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
The day will come, we'll do that, and that's why the transloaders were important to us. We did that in Brigham City. We transloaded out of Salt Lake. And so there were a lot of reasons saying, look, this transloader's 5 miles down the road from where we ended up.
Yeah.
That's a lot different than, 80 miles into Salt Lake from Brigham City.
Right, yeah.
So there were things that we looked at and said, no, we're going to go to Cedar City.
Yeah. Well, not to mention casinos versus the Utah Shakespeare Festival and national parks. A little more enjoyable
and
quality of life
and
mountains.
fishing and hunting and
versus desert and more desert. Well, we've got our desert too. But.
We do, but it's and again, work ethic is important to us, and this community. I won't say Mesquite doesn't have that,
sure,
but we felt really good about this.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, we started building. I think that we are building permits for the end of August last year, somewhere in there, and we really started going September and received occupancy permits in June of this year. And opened up the doors on September 2nd because the first was Labor Day.
That's right.
So, we've been running production just for a couple of weeks and having all of those problems with startups that people know.
Sure, working through the kinks. Yeah.
So, a substantial investment. We raised, I won't say we raised, it's really my capital with also a couple other partners, one being my son. But all of it is cash in. At our point, we didn't borrow anything. And so when you look at this substantial investment that we plan on completing at the end of 5 years with growth and getting a good workforce going, it's substantial personally. So it was a big decision, especially when I thought I wasn't ever working again.
Yeah. So, well, I know that the state had put out, the inland port had put out that you have, that this whole project as a whole will be about a $12 million plus capital investment that you're putting right here into Iron County, right here into Utah, and and those incentives that you talk about, just so people who are listening in understand those incentives. That's not money up front. That is incentives based on post performance, based on newly generated revenue, and it's only a small portion of the newly generated revenue, and that's to help make us competitive with other markets like Mesquite or Vegas or Denver or somewhere else that's maybe offering these incentives. We've got to be able to compete with those areas and then win them out, so to speak, on our quality of life, on our workforce and those different types of things that you mentioned. It's that combination that draws companies in. If I'm putting a little words in your mouth.
No, you're really right. But so let's kind of look at the whole picture there. So the incentives at the inland port, depending on your size, is basically 10% is the category I fit in of your property tax and your personal property taxes. So you look at that and say, okay, that's nice. Yeah. And it's a good incentive.
It's nothing huge.
It's not huge. Yeah. You look at it and say, if you're making a $12 million investment and in the course of a year, that means $20,000, that one.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you throw it away. But that big decision on that whole investment is driven more by the things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Both you and that Danny also helped a lot in influencing things, introducing me to Savage and to iBiz and getting out and saying, long run, here's some vision that helps you. You personally introduced me to someone in town who I won't mention that could be very beneficial to us long run, and they have been. And so we started just looking at it, and those things come through. You also have some of the rural grants, but you look at it and say in year one, they might get as much as $6,000 total back on an employee's salary. Yeah. Well, if you're trying to be a little bit above the average pay in the state, that's not a long run a decision maker. You make a decision because I'm going to quote somebody, this is the place, right? Yeah. Okay. It just felt right in the end to make that decision. We've had to put about half of that full amount up right now just to get running.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then you look at it and say strategically, one of these big machines are really, really expensive, but strategically, you got to see how your product line folds out, whether you need bigger ones, smaller ones. When does the pulverizer come into play?
Right.
So we're dealing with some of the things that every business is. That most of the pulverizers we really like are built in Canada. So with some tariff issues right now, it's not the right time to be buying pulverizers. So you just kind of play the game that every businessman has to as to what you're going on. So exciting. We think when we put out the projections where we're going to get, there are some things automation wise that will make it to where we're not quite as personnel heavy for the same revenue that we had in Brigham City.
Yeah.
But still, we see ourselves at 60-ish employees at the end of 5 years.
Yeah.
Today we have 8,
Oh.
So we started September 1 and we're at 8, and excited to keep going with this. And a shout out to the ones that we've got here locally for right now. They've done really well. It's 3 weeks, so it's new. It's physical work, and one of the young men, he's been really fun. But he's like, I got shin splints, my feet hurt. I feel like I'm part of the plastic pit team. And but great attitude. He's been really fun. So
well, I can make some recommendations on some comfortable running shoes or whatever he may need for them.
Exactly. I said I've got Hokas with pads in
yes,
them. They
exactly.
really help.
That's right.
But,
I can teach you. Tell him one of the things to strengthen shins. This is the runner coming out. Is practice doing the ABCs with your toes, and that'll strengthen your shins every day.
Exactly. So no, it's been fun, but
that's
kind of the vision where we were hoping to go. We build a building. We take a lot of power and a lot of gas, and it was when you go from just a plan. And you go to Rocky Mountain Power, you go to, Enbridge and say, this is what we need. Well, the first question is, are you sure?
Yeah.
And then trying to get the transformer that we needed. We really made the decision. And I have to make a shout out to, I'll just use a first name, but Cameron here at Rocky Mountain Power. He did huge things to try and help us.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain Power across the state, we were having troubles. We were being told they were 18 months to 2 years out, and getting a year to 18 months to 2 years on getting transformers and things. There's a burger shop that's going to open up here, one of my favorites, Seven Brothers Burgers, who was told the same thing. And our local reps with Rocky Mountain Power have working with them and having those relationships have come through and helping us figure out how to resolve that.
Very much so. So just to give them that, we got them to, the local ones were able to put in an order and place it for us basically August of 24, telling us that we would have it roughly April of 25.
Wow.
It showed up at the end of June of 25.
Wow.
And we were panicked.
Yeah, sweating beads.
Yeah, but they come through for some temporary. We ended up with the permanent solution. But the permanent gear, couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't showing up on time. We'd come up with some ways to temporarily go to smaller gear, and it would meet our needs right now and swap out. But in the end, they really came through, and so did Enbridge. The local employees for both of those entities have been a blessing to us so far.
Oh, that's great. I am so happy to hear that. Well, we talked a little bit too before the show. We might do something a little more exclusive, ribbon cutting. We want to be cognizant of your clients and the processes going on in there, and the potential, proprietary things that you're working with your clients on. And so hopefully here in the coming weeks, we'll do something fun where we'll bring out a couple of the elected officials and kind of let them see firsthand and really show off why Hive Plastics came to Iron County. I'm just so excited to have you here. So excited to have been working with you the last year and a half or so. Are there other things too about your company that maybe you want to mention or bring up before we
wrap up?
Yeah.
We want to be of value to the community as well. In terms of providing good opportunities for young people and well, not just young people, but anyone in the community that is looking for employment long run. And we're in it to build products that possibly the local community needs too. I do know I can drive around and look and say, well, there's a rotationally molded product. What can we do here? And so we hope to be of value to the local business community as well. And to brainstorm them. They may have ideas too of things that they need in their industries that we're unaware of, and they come and say, "Can you do this? Can you help us with this?" So we do want to be part of the business side here, but no, we're excited to be here. We are a mundane plastic manufacturer.
I love it.
And we like what we do.
Yeah.
And someone needs to do it well, and we plan on doing it well.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for that. We'll have to get you connected with the Made in Southern Utah manufacturing chapter here in Iron County. In fact, they do exactly what you were just describing. They kind of, these different local manufacturers, they help and support one another and build synergies, even sometimes these competitors working together to help keep the business, the community, and our workforce going. And so, Joe, I'm so grateful to have you here. Joe, owner of Hive Plastics, newly opened manufacturer here in Iron County in the Cedar City area. And thank you so much for coming on and chatting a little bit about what you have happening.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to have been with you.